we go, we're back now. It is MLP and johnxfire. John, welcome back. We're here for game 2 between Army Geniuses and T1. Draft has begun, so I'm going to get that underway ASAP. But how you doing, John?
Doing great. That was a quick one coming out from T1. They play spectacularly well with their lineup. Army Geniuses, unfortunate to say, all the games they've played so far have been quick, and that's not in a good way. We'll have to see if they can start to get their early game together, start to bring that fight that we know AG can bring earlier on. They do go out with a very different opening here on AG's side. They've got the Grimstroke Magnus. They've got this RP combination. I guess RP Inkswell is something that can work, but not really what you tend to look for. We're going to have to see a big Magnus combination with the Empower coming out here from AG. They have several ways to run the mag. They can run it mid, off lane, or safe. We haven't seen AG pick up the Magnus themselves. For the most part, I don't recall them being a big Magnus drafting team. So we'll have to see where they do want to put that Magnus on. T1, they just start with the Enchantress and Luna. The Ench already gives them a way to scout out the jungle with the Enchanted Creep, to block out some camps, to deny the farm. Magnus wants to be able to clear out with his partnered cores. And they've got the Luna to kind of clear out their own farm in T1 sense. So they go back to this Savage Comfort Hero on the safe lane. We saw him last time. He performed spectacularly well, even into the Terrorblade coming out from T1, from Army Geniuses, and T1 did ban out the TB. So you don't have that option. Not the best Magnus combo anyway. There is the option for PA if you really want to go into that route, and they will go with the LC first. So they've got a great Dispel on hand with the Legion Commander. They've got a great way to manage the lane. T1 get the Magnus counter in the Winter Wyvern. Surprising that Army Geniuses leave that alone. Winter's Curse can just break up that RP initiation. AG's going all in on their combos though. They have RP, Mystic Flare, dual Mystic Flare coming out. They've got double silence with Soulbind, so there is some value now in the Grimstroke. I don't know about going all in on those combos though. The strongest one is the off-lane dual combination, and T1, they just go into the TA. So they've got great scaling with the TA Luna. There's an issue of greed on T1's end, but they've got the Winter Wyvern to bust these fights out from AG anyway. They can kind of prevent the big RPs from being impactful as long as the Winter Wyvern is a safe distance away.
We're having a rather early night tonight, aren't we, John? I mean, it feels like every game's just flown by. I think you mentioned it in the previous game, but my goodness. Even this draft's gone by very fast. Neither team's really used much reserve time. Good to see. Very, very good to see.
Yeah, I think, playing multiple games does that to a team. I think AG's just trying to get what they want and try to run with the energy. So we'll see if they can get that done. Rather interesting way of closing out the night. The next series doesn't have either of these teams, so it's a bit of a break for both teams after this one, and we'll have to see how they close out their drafts. Like AG with the Magnus Sky, there is still that Magnus Flex on safer mid, so it's still either the DB here or the Mamangdai here that we're waiting for, and T1 seems to believe it's a safe lane DB. They ban out the Razor, they ban out the Batrider, all counters towards TA mid. So I think AG is going to have to find a way to handle Karl's TA. We've seen the TA just run away. If you give enough space out, it just takes over with the Luna here. And we have seen AG up against that TA. They just never deny way to farm. That's been a constant issue. I always mention it. You have to block out that jungle. You have to take control early on. Hasn't panned out in the last 3 games. Maybe this is the game where they start to steer it their way, start to really apply the pressure on the side of T1 to stop that farm game. They also have to secure their own farm. It's a Magnus lineup. Magnus needs farm to really be relevant. You're looking for Blink, you're looking for Echo Saber, and then maybe the AC, Daedalus, or Lotus Orb, whatever you need afterwards. T1, they go back into the Kunkka. So looking like perhaps a bit of a flex as to their offlane, probably the Cuckoo offlane Kunkka, and AG just closed with a Husker.
They do. I mean, this is apparently one of the specials of Mamangdai in that mid lane, which is why we see it banned out so often. Very excited to see it finally come out. We see it banned so often against Army Geniuses in the last phase. I've always kind of been wondering, when are we going to see this Husker finally be allowed for Army Geniuses? The answer is now, John. But is it a good pickup? Do you think it's suitable for the draft of Army Geniuses this game too?
It can handle the TA lane. I think you've got that lined up for AG. At least Burning Spears will eat your refraction quite nicely. It's got really good early presence here as well. It still benefits from the added damage aspect of the Empower. It's not going to cleave away. I don't know if this fixes the issues for AG. If they can play around the timings of it, it can be devastating. Like, have the Husker rotate onto the Legion Commander lane, just burst the hero down with Duel, along with a Mystic Flare coming out, and keep running his 3 or 4. You can kind of build up once your Magnus is ready to join in with Blink RP. That's when the team fights get spicy. I think the counterplay from T1's much scarier, though. Like, the boat's there to delay that burst. They've got the Winter's Curse. They've got the answers to that kind of clump up. And I think AG is still going to have to be really cautious despite having that special last pick slide through from Mamang Daya. They can slow down Carl. I think the pressure's on Mamang Daya more than anyone else to ensure the mid lane matchup goes his way. And I suppose when you have a Husker, you can kind of do that fairly easily.
Yeah, supposedly. We'll find out how this game's going to go. I mean, Army Genius is yet to win a game today. It's been a rather stressful time for them, but we'll see if they can pull one off. T1, obviously, they need every point they can get right now. They'd love to get this 2-0 victory against AG, and judging by how well the last game went, I'm sure they feel very confident moving into this, but, you know, I guess you can't be too confident when you're up against that mid-Husker. It can be very, very scary, especially when it's directly countering out this TA. But let's move into game 2 and see how this one does pan out. Immediate tips though. 23 Savage. He's going to take it from Among Dire. Not sure why. He's going to get one though.
Yeah, you don't ask questions when you get tipped. You know, it's free points. Misclick. There you go. That's the explanation out from Among Dire. Didn't mean to.
He wanted to tip Carl. Unfortunate. Well, I have no idea what they're saying now, but it won't matter too much as we might see a fight breaking out in just a moment. T1, they do show up. Savage, he'll show up in the mid lane to put a bit of a sticker down. Who is that Carl? With the tiny, is that what it's meant to be?
Yeah, looks like it. Looks like it's supposed to be Carl.
Right. Very nice. I haven't seen that sticker before. It's the first time I've seen it, but looks very nice.
Yeah, and speaking of, Carl disconnects. Maybe he didn't like seeing it. Maybe that's why you don't drop that sticker. He already got the loser on his mid. Very nice to tell your mid that. He's a loser.
T1's one of those teams. Like they seem like you're the kind of team that would start just trash talking each other just for the hell of it. You know, just like an SEA pub, right? You don't trash talk the other team. You trash talk your own team. That's how you get them motivated. Uh-oh, Wommy. We don't talk about that game here, Wommy. Keep that out of the chat, please.
I believe he meant to type CSGO.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't even know what that game was that he mentioned. Is it a game? Not 100% sure.
It just looked like a strange set of letters to me, Mike.
Absolutely. My goodness. Well, Wommy seems to have some inside information as to what's wrong with T1 right now, I'll tell you that, John. So definitely, the mind's been in the wrong place here for T1. They've recovered now. It was the first couple days. It was pretty rough, you know, in the group stages. But they are starting to look like the T1 we're used to seeing as well.
Yeah, they have bounced back in form the past 2 days. We'll see if they can maintain that in this game. We do see our mid. Very good blocks coming out from Carl, so the wave's immediately under his tower. Mamang Daya, of course, is what he's laning against on TA. Up against the Husker, never fun. The Burning Spears are up, and Carl's just going to cop some damage. Good range on the Husker to kind of zone out the TA. We'll have to see how Carl holds out as the levels go up. You're going to need quite a few of those levels to try to sustain. The refraction's not going to feel great. It will at least buy you some time, but you don't want to get free hits of the spear off if possible. And Carl's just really going to have to watch his spacing every time.
Yeah, I mean, he can't do much though, right? Like, he's going to need some levels up to get those Sire Blades, to have the extra range so he can actually, you know, step away a bit from this Husker. But it is going to be a rather rough lane for Carl, I'm sure. And it might just be one of those lanes where you have to kind of go to the jungle very early on. Just accept the fact that it is a Husker, it's a direct counter. And, you know, you're still a TA who could just freely farm the jungle. But Carl's still doing fine right now, all things being said and done. We'll have a look at the other lanes while we have a chance, though. 23 Savage is going to be on the Luna. You've got Whitemon there. That is a very nice press the attack out from Wommy. Rather overwhelming odds. But it is going to be 23 Savage and Whitemon against Wommy and LYM once again. They've got the Skywrath LC, which seems like a very annoying lane to have to play into for T1. For now, they're going to be okay, though. It's probably just going to mean a lot of regen being burnt on this dire side.
That's the main thing. LYM did go for the concussive shot, so it's not the most mana efficient as Harassment. Does have a longer cooldown as well, but it does allow you to get a lot of right clicks off. You can try to win the right click trade against these lower range heroes, and they're just doing a great job of trying to apply pressure on Savage. Unfortunately, Savage is still finding farm, still up there in CS, and Whitemon is allowed to have some creeps. And with that troll creep, you can just get the nets, get the follow-up stun.
Uh-oh, bot lane is where the first blood does occur. Cuckoo ends up dropping on that off-lane Kunkka. DB, the one to secure the first blood gold, it's going to make his Magnus feel a lot better in these earlier stages. Not 100% sure how that's happened, but it was probably a skewer back into the tier 1 tower, I'd assume, and it looks like UK did also commit the ink swell, which is, it's pretty standard. He got stunned underneath the tier 1 tower.
Yep, it's the one lane that looks really nice for AG. This dual combination comes online very fast with Magnus and Grimstroke. Just play with that skewer. It's a melee matchup as well. So Cuckoo will always have to be cautious about being caught out like that. They can line up the shot with the shockwave on top of it, and they can even set up with the slow of the Stroke Fate. So DB doesn't have the hardest time in getting that skewer back. And Zephyr's doing a good job of controlling the lane though, managed to get a pull to stall out, and that should give Cuckoo some space to gain some EXP. But DB is that big win condition here for AG. He's the guy that needs to farm up. So far, he's doing a great job. Not quite at the same pace as Savage, but when you have a kill under your belt, that kind of makes up for it.
And that it does. Carl. Yeah. Just on the other side of the jungle. They're probably going to have a look here and try to find out where he's gone. Carl's going to go for a chase on the courier. He won't be able to reach, so he's back into the lane. And I suppose if you're army geniuses, you know that even if you dominate the TA in lane, it's still going to be able to catch up in the jungle. It's just what the hero does. So you've got to chase him down. Top lane, LYM. Looks like he is set to drop. 23 Savage. He may go down to Wommy. Whitemon's trying to help him. Fairy Fire is there. Wommy, he doesn't have the mana for the overwhelming odds. He'll keep the chase up. Savage is going to try and juke this one out, but Wommy is still going to commit for this chase. Whitemon now with the body blocks. Does have the enchant back up, and they are going to be able to turn. Savage being a little bit cheeky there as he rushes forward onto Wommy. And then they get the kill anyway. I'm not sure why he had to step back towards Wommy before he salved him up. But it almost felt like he was taunting him.
Oh, you know he was. Maybe he has the taunt on cooldown or doesn't have the taunt equipped on the Luna, but that was sending a message.
Yeah.
2-1 now, T1. Despite maybe some of the wonkier lanes, and top lane is still shaping up to basically be free farm for 23 Savage. He's just able to clear out the creep wave. The pressure from the LT was there, but if you don't hammer in the kill, you don't really stop the Luna. Whitemon's still able to get some work in the jungle, not the biggest stacks coming out. LYM has been doing a good job of keeping Whitemon tied into the lane. But it doesn't feel like it's going to be an issue. As long as Savage is not dying, you're happy here.
Well, he is kind of dying right now, but Whitemon's going to be there with a follow-up stun from that Centaur. Wommy, he's just taking so much damage. It's not going to be quite enough to kill him off, but it will force a salve usage here from LYM. I suppose you are at the point now where this Enchantress is going to be very annoying, and props to Whitemon, already level 4 on this pos 5 Enchantress. Doing a great job. LYM, he's probably going to drop. It's so hard to contest Enchantress like this when he's got this many levels this early on. He's on par with Wommy in terms of levels. And that kind of goes back to Whitemon just farming the jungle by himself, giving the solo XP to 23 Savage on that Luna. And it just makes it so they get that XP advantage and they can just continuously dominate this top lane.
Yep, they've done a great job of just getting this draft working. And the only lane that looks a bit wonky for T1 is the bot lane, but Cuckoo doesn't mind playing this far behind. And I think in the bigger picture here for T1, Like, yeah, you're giving DB a lot of room to farm on a mag. At the same time, are you really worried about Magus? When you've got the Winter Wyvern, when you've got the boat to kind of stall out the burst, it doesn't feel like DB's going to be able to get the burst damage he needs in that control period in time with these tools on T1. So I think that's why T1 is just kind of sacking the Cuckoo lane. They just leave him solo, give him EXP. They're not really jumping the Kunkka to abuse that fact. They're still building up giant stacks in the jungle here in T1. And Carl, he's at level 7. He can clear a couple of these stacks out now and start to recover.
Who are you kidding, John? He can clear all of them if he really wants to. It's a TA. He's even got an Arcane Rune bottled up just to, have that earlier refraction cooldown. They won't get the Ancient stack, which is a bit unfortunate for Carl, but it won't matter too much. He'll get to work on the jungle stacks, get a few neutral items for the team. It's going to be a very nice feeling here for T1. Again, I think Army Geniuses, they really want to try and focus in on not allowing this to happen. Mamang Daya, he can't chase him around forever, so all he can do is try to match the farm on the Husker, and in all fairness, Husker does farm very fast as well, because of that, what is the spell even called anymore? Berserker's Blood. That added attack speed he does get. It's gonna make it very quick for him as well, so, he might just be able to match the farm of Carl on this TA.
Yeah, he's keeping up in terms of CS. I think he is still number 1 in net worth as well. You do see... It just feels like he hasn't really bullied out the TA. I think when your TA is still within 200 gold of you, that's a scary outcome, because you expect to dominate the lane. And Carl just played it right. He just ditched the lane early. He kept farming jungle, so you just avoid that Husker effect. And now you've got a Husker who's equally farmed with the TA. It doesn't feel as impactful. So we'll have to see if Mamang Dai can get the aggression out for his team, start to find those big heroes he needs to kill off. Maybe once he has the point in the life break, that's when AG can start to group around and have Mamang Dai get his rotations off. For now, he is just going to go for the more passive farm, and that is just giving more room to T1. I think if you slow the pace of the game, it will always favor the TA Luna lineup. They can always scale late quite fast. At the least for AG, you have a Magnus who can also farm the same way. It's not quite as quick for DB. He's still lagging slightly behind. His jungle is under control of T1. They've got some information as to where DB's farming, so they are aware that the Magnus is trying to build up.
Yeah, YM. I'm going to try and get some wards down here. Wymon's going to scout this out. Try and go after the Enchantress Wami. He's going to rush forward. There's no untouchable available, so you should be able to burst her down, and they'll get him. First Jewel is going to be online now for Wami. Bit of bonus damage for him on the LC. They won't quite be able to kind of harass 23 Savage though, which is probably what they would have enjoyed doing. But they'll take what they can get.
Yeah, it's something. It opens up the top lane for a bit of a shove out as well. We've got 3 heroes lined up to maybe look for a tower trade. Not the quickest push with just the LC though. I think you will need some more damage on that, and Zephyr's there anyway to kind of just splinter blast the creep, so you don't really get as much push going. And overall, it's like 1 hero holding 3 up top. You're very happy with your T1. Your jungle's still not being invaded. Savage clears out another massive stack for free. Has the Dragon Lance up. They do drag up Mamang Daya, so now the tower should just fall, and he does have the value points in the inner fire and his ult on the life break.
Well, Zephyr has been spotted. Wami, he has another jewel. They'll just wait it out until the Cold Embrace is over. And that'll be another jewel victory to the way of Wami. But now the rotations. Mamang Daya, he ends up dying to the boat. Uh-oh. That armor toggle wasn't there, Carl. He also gets LYM, so you got a bit of jewel damage. But you lost your Husker and you lost your Skywrath. Definitely not a very worthwhile trade here for Army Geniuses.
No, we were just saying how the Husker has to go after that running start. First time going out of the lane, dying as well in the fight, not a great feeling. The only thing AG's getting out of that movement is that it's space for DB. So the Magnus just gets to play in that jungle, gets to play catch up, has the blink up and running on DB. So they can play with the blink RP or at least the blink skewer back. Maybe they start to find some opportunities to take some bigger fights now. But I don't know if you really want the Magnus to fight, because once you do, no one's going to be farming an AG side, and all the cores of T1 are actually farming. Again, Savage is just on the opposite side of the map every single time. No punishment coming through for that Luna. And she's just going to be able to keep climbing up, keeping up with Carl on the TA. This greedy duo farming up is just not being punished.
That it is not, John. Certainly not. Savage just across the map, just staying away from everybody else. Not even going to push the bot tier 1 tower. He just doesn't want to risk his life. He'd rather hit creeps, and you can appreciate that when you are playing Luna. DB, he's trying to do the exact same thing on the mag, and he has got that very early blink timing up. Go for the Echo Saber up next, I'm sure. You certainly want to try and use that RP ASAP if you do go for this early blink timing. It can be a bit counterintuitive if you're not able to find a couple kills here with this blink. So if you can't, you would have rather just pick up the Echo Saber. For now, he's not going to find anything. Just keep the farm game up. Mamang Daya will do the exact same, just doesn't want to lose his own kind of net worth here towards Carl on that TA. And Mamang Daya, credit to him, he is still top of the net worth board regardless of being against the Luna TA. So regardless of that death that happened up at top lane, he's still having a great old time. It's just whether it's going to transition into meaning more kills and a game win here for AG.
Yeah, he's trying to build up on the Husker, going for the BKB next. He has felt squishy once he's caught out. With the BKB, he should be able to armlet toggle through the control. That's going to help him, again, boost his survivability. The Halberd, I think, is the bigger item to look out for. Once you have the disarm to control up either Savage or Coral, and more than likely just control Carl, the farm Dave investment into the TA, it's not going to show up for a few seconds. There is a smoke play, though, from AG.
T1. Spot out Whitemon, but they'll ignore him completely. They want Savage, and they barely miss out on him, too. They were 1 second away from running into this Luna. They're going to run up now, but the smoke's going to be broken. DB doesn't have the blink up yet. He can still maybe get it off, but the Eclipse is there now. He'll still get the RP. There will be the Skywrath ulti, but Savage is going to survive, and DB, the one to die, is now Carl. He'll find a double kill out. He tanks the Mystic Flare with 23 Savage. He makes sure they can't burst him down, and he even gets a double kill. What a TA player.
Yeah, that's a massive loss for Army Geniuses. They aren't farming up on a mag, and this is what we talked about. If he is going around with his team to find those kills, you're falling behind in farm. And he is starting to lag behind once more compared to Savage's farm, compared to Carl's farm. A Husker with the same amount of farm, it can be impactful.
Jewel.
It's just down to a question of, is it enough?
Boat, it's going to keep this Wyvern alive. DB's going to move in, however, and they do get the kill, but now the X is there on DB. They might be able to turn for more. Carl's rushing forward. He seems to want UK instead, and they're going to get him. DB's still in danger as well. They just enchant him up, and he's gone.
It is corruption.
T1, they're not done yet. Looking for another X attempt, but they won't have the vision. But every single fight that goes by, T1 continues to find the positive trade.
Yeah, and they go right into the Roshan. Same timing for the lineup. Desolator up, just go for Roshan. Easy take. They got the Aegis up on Carl. 4K lead at 15 minutes isn't that one-sided. Army Geniuses still has the tools to play. I am curious as to when Mamang Daya decides to join. Maybe after the BKB. We'll see again if the impact of the Husker is going to turn things around. As T1, well, Carl's #1 in net worth now. The Desolator just makes him hit like a truck. Once he has his blink up, he's just going to be able to jump in and set up for the team.
X out. DB. Torrent is going to be there. They have found the Magnus. Can they burst him down in time? Oh, you bet your ass they can. My goodness. The amount of damage this TA hero does, it's just too much. It's too damn high.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yeah, it's so strong. There was a time when people were saying Tia was weak as well. I remember that.
Get
But
out
we'd
of here.
rarely see Tia. No, I
Imagine
remember
that.
like last year, maybe even just 6 months ago, no one really liked the TA. And then suddenly TA just bounces back in. Tier 2 faults, high ground open, Mamang Daya?
Well, he's a Husker, John. He's going to try. Press the attack is there. He'll try to fight back. He'll arm the toggle. Carl, no, he gets bursted. Oh, RP's out. DB, it's a nice one, but they got the curse. He can't get the damage off. And Carl is gonna survive. He does finally drop, but it's just the Aegis. This draft is not exactly working out the way of AG, John. They'll get a Jewel out. I don't know if that's going to be the greatest idea, but with the Mystic Flare, it's still not going to be enough. They will finally get the kill, though, as UK, with the Stroke of Fate, will get it done. And Army Geniuses, they will hold high ground. But you are relying on this Mag Husker to carry you through. And thus far, although they are getting the farm, it's not translating to successful team fights. At least for Army Geniuses.
I think it's down to how the Husker is now, right? Like, even if you're low on HP, you don't actually get any more durable. Not like before. Like, you don't have magic resist on hand tied to that passive anymore. You just get more regen still and attack speed. And that's the reason why Mamangdai really desperately needs the BKB. Just so he's protected from some sources of damage. He can just try to out-heal the damage in physical coming out from T1. I don't think he can. I think Carl and Savage just hit way too hard with the simple items they have on hand. And once you start getting into the Crystallis build up for Savage or the Crystallis up for Carl as well down the line, I don't know about the Husker. It just feels like such a weird choice of goal.
Cuckoo. He's been caught with the skewer. I just don't think it's going to be enough. Boat's going to fly out. He's a tanky target. And DB, this is your pos 1. This is your position 1 Husker. And he's just melting to Carl. It's not even a competition right now for Carl.
Bottom tower is under attack.
It's not even close.
Dire's top tower
Yeah,
is under
it's
attack.
just not lining up. They even have the disarm up now on Cuckoo. So even if our Husker shows up, if he doesn't pop the BKB first, he gets Heaven Halberds up, he won't do damage. And then your Husker's just standing in front, kind of awkwardly staring at everyone. And then physical damage still melts him. So a lot of issues here to cover for AG. Its biggest strength right now is the high ground defense. The RPs are what they're relying on, but we already saw the counterplay coming out from Zephyr. If you don't catch the Winter Wyvern, the curse will just ruin that initiation as well.
23 Savage, gonna be targeted. RP's there, but Cold Embrace. Zephyr, you can't kill him when the Wyvern's around. They didn't see Zephyr, he was hiding in the tree line. And so now RP's down for nothing. Mamandai is going to show up. They'll try to go after Zephyr, but he has the Cold Embrace, so now the Husker is going to hit his teammate. DB, he's going to survive. Eclipse is there as well. Mamandai really going for a dive in. They get the jewel off. Is it going to be enough though? The boat's going to fly in with the Cold Embrace. They save the day. Savage, he might die in the end, but at what cost? Here comes Carl, the real pos 1. They are just going to wipe the side of Army Geniuses. Mamang Daya, he's gonna try. Armlet toggle to your heart's content, sir. It doesn't matter when you're versing Templar Assassin. It just doesn't matter.
It's just not enough. And AG, again, the staggered initiation doesn't pay off. They lose a lot of heroes. They lose RP. I think that's a bigger loss than any death. So once the high ground defense comes in, they're not going to have RP for a minute. This is their biggest spell. This is their big defense play. And you're going to have to find another way to stall out this game some more. Maybe if you get a good duel in the background, you can kind of get that done. DB tipping a UK for whatever reason there. Tier 2 just going to fall.
Just a C pub, John.
Yeah, it's just a pub.
Yep. Your pos 1 Magnus is 2 and 6. Tip the support ASAP. You've got to shift the blame immediately.
Definitely. 12k lead for T1, 6 to 18 at 20 minutes in. I don't know what else to say. This is just looking fairly one-sided going the way of T1. Again, if they get a good RP, you can still turn, but how do you get a good RP against a Winter Wyvern?
That's the problem, right? Like, if you don't get Zephyr in that RP, he's always going to be able to turn it. Which is what we've seen over and over again. That Wyvern has to die before you can actually take a team fight for Army Geniuses, because he just counters everything. You just can't fight into him. Zephyr's been very good, though. He's always just in position to be able to counter, but never within vision of Army Geniuses so they can make the jump in. I mean, very good at keeping him hidden. And all it takes is a Glimmer Cape, apparently, for Zephyr. And it only gets worse soon as well, because he's working towards a Blink Dagger. So soon, he won't even need to be nearby. he'll be able to really keep a massive distance between him and the team. And that way, he just never gets caught. It feels like it is probably going to be Wami's job to be able to jump the Wyvern in the backside. But it has proven to be very difficult this game.
Yeah. It's just that Zephyr understands how important he is to T1's team fights, to the way they win. And he's just been very patient on that Winter Wyvern. Just always out of sight, out of mind. Then you just forget. Then you commit into the target, and then you just suddenly don't have that burst. You don't have the initiation you want on AG's end. T1, they will smoke up. They're going to maybe look for a pick off. The side of AG have smoked up top with Wami and LYM, though.
They have. They might find Carl. It's a very nice pick, and with the Mystic Flare, they could certainly burst him down. Carl, he's not expecting it. They jump in, but no, the reactions. Wami, run, sir. He will TP out. Very, very quick reactions there, and even Cuckoo almost finding the torrent onto the unsuspecting LYM, but he has made it out. Meanwhile, bottom lane, UK, it's the battle of the supports right now, but 23 Savage is going to interrupt. Wymon will still take the kill, though. It just seems like no matter what they try, nothing's working. They're trying. Zephyr now, he's just manning up by himself onto Wami. That's the target you need to kill, by the way, for that team fight. They just don't feel confident. Now the X-Torrent's there from Cuckoo. Tidal Wave going to force out the press the attack. Luckily, having the shards there on the LC going to make it so he does not get pulled back with the Kunkka. But if you're T1, John, I mean, you're waiting for that next Roshan, and it's a decent timer, 30 seconds.
Yeah, fairly quick here. For the side of T1, they should be able to secure it quite fast. AG, this could be their big moment. If they manage to get a good RP in the pit, but they're going to smoke early. Looks like they want to not have to rely on the Roche. We'll see if they find that opening. They still need to catch Zephyr.
I mean, Zephyr is pretty far forward. Problem is he's on the high ground, and there's still no vision of him. I suppose there is one observer what's scouting him out. Can they break the gap, DB? Zephyr is right next to them. They get the silence off. However, Mamang Daya, he's dived in by himself. They're going to turn around now. Who are they aiming? They got Carl. They at least get the TA down. Wymon's killed off by YM. Now the RP's there, but the skewer, it's not going to reach on Savage. They might be able to turn, and it looks like they will. Here comes the Eclipse. Mamang Daya, his BKB's worn off. They tipped Carl, and there you go. There's the tip back from Carl. He was waiting for it. I didn't see how Carl died. I missed that one, John. They still win the team fight, though. And they'll go right for the Roshan.
Yep. No RP once again. It's going to be down for a minute and a half. So the defense, I don't know how you pull it off here on AG's side. T1, it's a bit of a slower process without the TA on a Roshan, but they're still going to find it in the end. I was keen to see a while ago Savage was queuing up Ags. He decides to not finish the Aghanims instead. He will have a free Ag Shard, so that's still amazing for the Luna, and I believe he has this Crystallis that died in the Courier. So unfortunate for him, he doesn't have that little bit more damage coming out with a crit stick. You still have a ton of damage flying through though, and AG backs against the wall. They still have their high ground fairly intact. But with Carl back up, with the damage output, with the Aegis Cheese, without RP, I just don't know how you take these fights. Again, you have to jump the back line with Wami somehow. And the ideal target is still Zephyr. It's just that Zephyr is nearly impossible to find.
Yeah. I mean, they had vision of him last team fight, but they just didn't know who to aim. It seems like they were very happy about Carl dying, but in fact, they're looking for him again here. Wami and LYM are on the hunt. They are in apparently the same position, the right position. Carl, Courier goes down, but that's going to reveal their position now. As even the Psyblades hit the LC to give even more information to Carl. And now, this top lane going to be forced in by T1 with a 17k net worth lead. It's not going to be too hard for them to get through this. And this is without that TA. However, a nice skewer back, but a quick X there from Cuckoo. Now they want to fight. Disarms are there. They cannot attack. Mystic Flare out with the Cold Embrace. They do get the Aegis. They've got the first life. Torrent, Mamang Daya, he's been caught. There's your X out into the boat. They want the Husker down. Press the attack though. He's going to save him from the X back. Good. Gotta be a little bit careful there with those silences out. DB, he does have the RP. A nice skewer back, has found the Kunkka. Meanwhile, Zephyr was scouted up by the Husker, but the cold embrace is there again. Carl, he's in as well. They get the disarms there. Meanwhile, the RP, it does land on two, and they will clean them up. Army geniuses. They finally find a good team fight. Whitemon, he'll die as well. It'll be a 4-0, or rather a 4-1. Carl, he did manage to get out. The one problem it seemed for T1 that fight is they did find Zephyr.
Yeah, you got to protect Zephyr. And that's the big one. Just misstep there. You don't get the Winter's Curse off. It falls apart. Very good patience from Army Geniuses to actually execute the fight and hold on. That's a good influx of gold and EXP. Much needed influx of gold and EXP. And they can just kind of wait for RP to be back up. As long as they hold high ground with that big spell and they don't get cursed up, they have a lot of opportunities. T1, it looked like they were kind of handling the fight well. You know, they kind of canceled back the skewer with the X. They were getting good damage off. Just diving a bit too far forward towards the end. And AG is still a team that can punish. You still have to respect the RP. That's why you drafted the Winter Wyvern. And just need to kind of watch your spacing there on Zephyr. AG, they're still lagging behind by 14k. They can't really take any objectives off the back of that defense. They will take their outpost back, so some jungle control has returned. And they are still going to have to build up more farm, as you are still lacking a lot of damage output on DB. He's just not up there in farm at all. Lagging behind Cuckoo, behind Mamangdaya. The Husker is very close to just finishing up the AC, though. I say very close, at least a few spots away from it. And they do have the Ags up here on UK. So he's got that Dark Portrait. He can clone the Luna. And we know how menacing Dark Portrait can be on a farmed hero. The Luna or the TA could kind of work against T1 now.
Only may. AG proving that they're not out of this game yet. Definitely very good news for them. T1 grouping up. They've got an MKB on Carl, so the damage output has increased, and the evasion not going to be as big of a problem. And now they've got the Torrent Storm to boot. So Cuckoo, even more of a menace, as they run right in to Army Geniuses. Smoke on smoke can be popped immediately. They do have the high ground on AG, but they've got the vision there from T1. They're going to jump in, and Mamangdaya, he's just gone. He just melted. Yeah. 1 second he was there, the other he was just dead. UK, Torrent's there, it connects. He's got nowhere to go. DB, he's looking for an RP, but he's got no teammates left. And Kai, he keeps tipping Wommy. Wommy, he's looking around at the backside. He's going to get a courier. That is going to be the Demon Edge, but now the curse is out. Perhaps some more tips are in order here for Wommy. He'll try for the TP. He's going to get taken out. Cuckoo, he decides he's going to tip Mamangdaya. Very nice.
Oh?
Horn toss, skewer, but cold embrace is there. Mystic Flare, not going to do enough. They're going to RP for this. He had the cheese. Eclipse going to fly through DB. He's going to come right back. That'll make it a full team wipe. Jonathan?
Yeah. T1, they're just slowly chipping away at AG. AG, top rack's gone, mid to follow. They could go mega creeps here on T1. No RP on the Magnus, so they're relying solely on the Horn Toss and Skewer back. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, they'll get Whitemon. He's pretty hard to kill, let alone with the Cold Embrace. And now DB's been caught out. Tidal Wave going to pull him back. He's really got nowhere to go. Soulbind, it's going to do something, but not enough. And they get a double Horn Toss. Mamangdaya, what do you do? There's too much control. He can't armlet toggle through all these torrents. A quick duel out. He might get the Winter Wyvern, or maybe not, as they'll lose the duel and the GG's been called. They've had it. Army Geniuses could not pull off one game today, unfortunately. That'll mean T1, they do get away with a 2-0 victory.
Yeah, T1 plays spectacularly well. This is the T1 at their finest form that we expect. They get these comfort heroes out for Carl and for Savage. They just managed to make it work. Their aggression was really lined up as well. Like T1 was playing fairly fast, especially in game 1. Game 2 a bit slower. Did take a little bit more time for the Luna and the TA to farm up. AG, they went back to that Husker pick. They went back to a Magnus pick on the safe lane, and I think when you have the Mag, you really look for a strong combination with it. If you don't get that combo, then you put a lot of pressure on the Magnus to actually always land the RP when it's needed. And there were a couple of good RPs from DB in that last game, especially in that one defense, dragging them back towards the tier 3 towers.
Yeah.
But it just fell flat. Not enough was coming out from AG. They couldn't get their aggression going. T1, good clean sweep from them, very well played. But Army Geniuses, unfortunately for them, with no wins, they're gonna have to start climbing on the rest of the days as they're running out of games to play.
Yeah, certainly looking rough now for them. We are going to have our next series, though, starting very, very soon, John. About 15 minutes worth of a break. We're going to have Motivate Trust against GXR for the final series of the night. It should be an absolute banger to see these two go at it. For now, it is MLP Dota and JohnXFire, and we'll see you right after that break for Game 1 of this best of 2.